Welcome back to the Hurry Up Offense, fantasy football news and advice for week 12 of the NFL fantasy football season. I am Smokey Rameriz, your fantasy football pro. Let's go. I'm going to try to keep it about 10 minutes. I don't know if it's going to work, but I will try. Well, maybe 12. Who knows? Maybe 15. Well, today's topic is all about playing with fire, which means I'm going to be talking about touchdown dependent players. We're going to look at some touchdown dependent players and see who could possibly keep up this streak and who possibly could not, because it is a very thin tightrope to walk if you are dependent on touchdown dependent players. But first, let's get into that news. Over in 49ers camp, Deebo Samuel was limited Wednesday with a hamstring issue. And now he did miss week 8 with a hamstring issue, but no one knows as of yet if this is actually the same injury that is coming back. Now, I would say if it is the same one, we've seen him play through it, so we should be okay here. But if it's something new, we could see him miss more games. In that case, you definitely want to load up on Brandon Ayuk, because that guy's going to go off. And George Kittle. This whole offense was productive this past week, something that has been hit or miss from the 49ers this year. And we really need Deebo out there if you have him, because you play Deebo anytime he is in the game. That's just how it works with Deebo. Let's check on the 49ers and see what's up. Apparently their wide receivers are going through some issues, as we know. Juju Smith-Schuster, however, is back in practice Wednesday, and as of right now, barring a setback, it looks like he's going to play versus the Rams this coming week, which is a great spot for Juju. We saw him be very productive until this concussion issue. Now, on the other side of this coin, Kadarius Toney went out of the game last week with his hamstring issue, so we're not expecting at this time for Toney to play. That means you load up your Juju. Kelsey's going to draw the coverage. Juju's going to be running out of the slot. He's going to get a lot of targets, hopefully. On the other side of that game, though, however, down in LA, Tyler Higbee was out of practice Wednesday. He's got a knee issue. The tight end landscape is horrible, as I've been talking about all season. It's rough. I mean, outside of Mark Andrews and Travis Kelce, and Zach Ertz was doing really well until he went out for the season. Other than that, like, all these guys are a dime a dozen at this point. They're coming, they're going, they're getting you a handful of points at the most. I mean, look, I'm playing Cole Kmet in places. I'm playing Pat Freiermuth. There's Greg Dulcich. You got to throw guys out there because there's not much other than that to do. Like, a tight end sucks. I still don't recommend just putting your first round pick on a tight end, but the precedent that Kelsey has set would make you lean toward that direction. But I still can't bring myself to do it. I can't do that with a first round pick. You know, and even for next season, you might want to go after Andrews somewhat early. There's going to be other tight ends that break out, of course. Hopefully, this trend will not continue. We've seen seasons in the past where tight ends were okay. But yeah, we'll talk about tight end dependent players later. Just know that Higbee is probably not playing, but keep checking back for updates up until Sunday to see. But hey, Kyler Murray put in a full practice this week, and there is a chance that he's going to play, and we won't be seeing Colt McCoy this week, which is good because quarterbacks are dropping too. I mean, I guess it's just a symptom of being in week 12 of the season. Players are dropping left and right, and we've seen the quarterbacks hit really hard this season, like tight ends. But Kyler looks like he's going to be on track to play, so that's maybe some relief. It's not like he's going to set the world on fire. He's not playing up to his full potential this season, but he does rush, and that will help your team. Also, Rondale Moore and Greg Dortch are out of practice. Whether they play or they don't, you're going to have to be in a deep league to really worry about it. I'm talking about a really deep league if you're going to play Greg Dortch. But don't be depending on it. Out of Chargers camp, Mike Williams is sidelined. And I think this is just a case of him coming back too early. He probably won't be playing this week. So keep your Josh Palmers in your lineup. That's going to pay off for you. Gerald Everett was limited Wednesday. Now, he did not play last week after he was left off the injury report. And we thought he was going to play. But then he did not play. And there's a chance he may come back this week. But you're going to have to keep an eye on it. Over in Bengals camp, Jamar Chase has returned to limited practice. It'll be great to see Jamar Chase back out there because that is a ton of points. Although Tyler Higbee has held down the fort and the team is winning, Tyler Higbee gets you a ton of points if Jamar Chase is not out there. Corey Davis was a full go on Wednesday. Raheem Mostert was held out on Wednesday with a knee issue. Oh, that's going to be tough. They don't have much of a running back game out there. We know that Tua can get the job done passing, and that may be what we're looking at if they don't have much of a running back situation to throw out on the field. Lamar Jackson was held out Wednesday. Of course, more quarterback problems. Now, he had an issue headed into this game, and it's a hip issue, so we have seen that tear up seasons before, and we've seen players play through it. So I think if there's any chance Lamar is going to be on the field, he will be. Also, out of Ravens camp, Gus Edwards was limited Wednesday, but like I mentioned last week, all their running backs are coming in and dropping out. That's just how it is with the Ravens. David Njoku for Browns camp was out on Wednesday. Yeah, that's another tight end that might not play. David Bell was sidelined with a concussion. Down in Tampa Bay, Leonard Fournette put in a limited practice. I'm hoping we can see him on the field because he hasn't been as great this year, and that offense has completely struggled, but Fournette can give you a big game at any time. So unless you have an elite option to plug in that place, you want Leonard Fournette out there. Did I say Fournette? Fournette? Well, he's back, but maybe not for not long. Oh, God, that's horrible. Anyway, Devontae Parker is questionable for Week 12. Richie James is questionable for Week 12. Like, who knows who they are throwing to? Who are they going to throw to? The Giants have wide receiver problems. Man, Wan'Dale Robinson is out, and he was in the middle of his breakout game. Literally, he was on course to do what rookie wide receivers do halfway through their first season if they are elite and highly drafted players. But he's out for the rest of the season. That's tough, man. Daniel Bellinger is out for Week 12. Let's talk about the Lions. Reynolds is questionable for Week 12. They kind of have the same issue. Amon-Ra's not putting up a lot of points, but he's something out there on the field for you. Rodgers is playing through a broken thumb. That's a big one right there. Stafford is completely out for Week 12. Jaguars claim Darrell Henderson. You know, he just got dropped by the Rams. I don't know that he's going to see a lot with Travis Etienne there. So if you're in a deep league, maybe pick him up if someone has dropped him by now. But it's Travis Etienne's job. There's not much doubt about that. Joe Mixon is still in the concussion protocol. And last but not least, on the quarterback front, Justin Fields, who is over the past 5 or 6 weeks the highest scoring fantasy football quarterback in the league. So if he is out there, you definitely want to play him. And it's all because of his running threat. He's not getting it done through the air. There's not a lot of options for him to throw to. Not elite options. Now, he will make some short passes here and there. And that's why we have to talk about a touchdown-dependent player like Cole Kmet coming right up. Justin Fields, however, is talking about his separated shoulder, and it's not on his throwing shoulder. And I don't think it should hurt his rushing ability, so he should be still getting you a ton of points if he's not in too much pain to play. Of course, it is his non-throwing shoulder, easy for me to say, but the pain will affect him somewhat, even in his rushing ability. May make him timid, who knows, but you have to play Justin Fields with the points that he has been getting for your team. You have to play him if he's out there. Anyway, ton of news coming in. Please stay tuned to the news leading up to your Thursday games and your Sunday games this week. But that's it for the news right here, right now. Let's get on to the game theory portion of the show. Today we're talking about touchdown-dependent players, and I call it playing with fire, because that's absolutely what you're doing. If you have a touchdown-dependent player, it can go bad for you in any given week. And it's kind of loosely defined as a player who doesn't tend to get over the medium amount of yards or receptions, depending on the position, but he is getting a abnormally high rate of touchdowns compared to the median. There's players who do this every year and they tend to regress to the mean. Now, there are trends where we see a player continue to do this for the entire season and then regress in the following season, but be assured that regression is coming at some point. Now, the question is, can you ride this player to the end of the season or not? And I want to look at a few that I think you can ride. Ezekiel Elliott. Elliott is a guy that has a set position in that offense because of Jerry Jones. Now, the fact is, he is not on his elite game like he has been in years past, and he's kind of been falling off for the past couple years. We've seen Tony Pollard take a big portion of the workload, and that's just the problem. Zeke still gets you touchdowns because I think it's Jerry Jones's position that he wants Zeke to get those touchdowns. So it's probably something you can ride as long as he's healthy enough. Now, if he gets injured, Tony Pollard is going to be a mega hit in fantasy because he's still putting up a ton of work in the position that he's in, but they will bring in Zeke at the goal line and let him get the touchdowns. That's something you can ride until the end of the season because, like I said, there is extenuating circumstances, as in Jerry Jones wants Zeke to get the touchdown. That's his boy. That's how it works. James Cook is another name that gets thrown around as being touchdown dependent this year. Now, in the past, he has been a bell cow who puts in tons of work. I think the problem right now is, especially in a game like they had last week, they needed to pass and they wanted to pass a lot. That's why he only had 11 carries and 2 targets on 16 snaps, because they were trying to get downfield. They were getting blown out. We should see his workload go back up, and we will see more touchdowns come because of that. Now, he is an older, aging player, much like Zeke, but he doesn't have the backing I think that Zeke has. Now, the management obviously likes Dalvin Cook because he is a superstar. So I don't think we're worried about Alexander Mattison taking his job outside of an injury. He's a superstar. You can count on Dalvin Cook. He's not going to all be super fly elite games like he used to have, but he is still the lead guy there. And when they're up in games like they should be, because they are a great team, they just had a really bad week. When they're up, the guy's going to get a ton of work. Don't worry about Dalvin. Ramondre Stevenson, no, I'm not worried about him. He's only touchdown dependent on the ground, but he gets enough through the air to make up for it for your team. I wouldn't be worried about Ramondre. I am desperately running out of time, but one more name I want to mention is Jamal Williams. Now, this is a guy I am worried about because he's absolutely touchdown dependent, and there are other pieces around him that could take that job at any time. Now, he has scored a ton of touchdowns, but he is not the lead guy. DeAndre Swift will take that role over when he is completely healthy. They want to give him time to get completely healthy, but that's going to be the guy there. That's a name at running back that I'm worried about. Jamal Williams. I think I will hold other positions for upcoming episodes. We will continue this topic next week, but for right now, that's it for this week. I'm all out of time. If you want to listen to Alex and I break down every single game, every single week, and predict our winners, that's the scoreboard, you can go to the channel right now. It is already up and waiting for you to listen to it. Please give this video a like and subscribe to the Beyond Football channel. I am Smokey Rameriz, your fantasy football pro. I'll see you next week. Deuces.